welcome to this episode of Future Insight Podcast. I'm very pleased to have our guest this month join us, Dr. Janell Harvey. She is CEO of Harvey Nonprofit Consulting Group, and she is a retired marketing professor and a distinguished researcher as well, whose work really sort of serves to bridge the gap or connect, serve as a nexus, if you will, between and among education, technology, and community well-being. So really pleased to have Dr. Harvey with us here today. And as always, Dr. Harvey, what we do is I ask our guests to just give us a little bit of background about yourself and just sort of your professional journey, which has helped you to arrive where you are today.
Absolutely. I graduated from Stevens College with my bachelor's degree, and I was blessed to receive a position as an executive director, believe it or not, for a nonprofit organization. So I believe the organization was probably on its last leg, and I worked among its board of directors to learn the basics of fund development. We applied for their nonprofit status. We submitted our first federal grant during year 2 and were awarded $1.88 million. From there, I went on to pursue my master's and my doctoral degree. I taught at the higher ed level marketing for about 9 years, and eventually started my own consulting where I work with community organizations.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. I know that one of the areas that you've conducted research is on applications that are designed to support youth with bilateral hearing loss. And your research was actually showcased or prominently featured in the series Early Childhood Development Concepts, Methodologies, Tools, and Applications. Could you talk a little bit about the research that you did and the focus of the application?
Absolutely. My oldest son was born with bilateral hearing loss. So at birth, the doctors actually declared that there wouldn't be much that we could do with him. But through prayer and our beliefs, all that turned around. So my husband and I had been looking at these different mobile apps that could be used to help kids learn phonetics and how to read. And we did research with other professors, and it was published in the journal, as you mentioned. My son presently has his own company. It's called Quantum Visionary. So we work with him to create a haptic watch. And so if someone is hard of hearing and they wear the watch, they will know if there is fire or carbon monoxide detected. So we were able to do, outside of what the doctors prescribe, we were able to do our own research and field testing to find opportunities for our son.
Oh, that's great. That is outstanding. Yeah, a lot of your focus, I know, is on helping the community. And I know you are the founder of Harvey Nonprofit Consulting Group, and you work a lot with other nonprofits to help them sort of navigate, I think as you term it, the complex challenges that are facing nonprofits. Could you talk a little bit about that work and maybe some of the strategies that you find to be most effective, particularly, well, I mean, it would apply both to nonprofits that have been, in place for decades, but also in particular note, to newer nonprofits that see a real community need and want to get their organization started. Some of those strategies or those best practices that you've encountered.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest roadblocks facing nonprofits now is funding. If you look at grants.gov, which is the governmental website, a lot of the funding opportunities that were previously afforded are being taken away. For example, the 21st Century Community Learning Center, which was the first grant that I received as a nonprofit professional, I believe that it's going to be exhausted after 2026. So I believe that one of the things that nonprofits can do in order to put themselves ahead of the game, so to speak, is to make sure that they have data, that they're doing research, perhaps partnering with professors at the college level to do field testing to prove that what they're doing is actually having an impact. So having some sort of data to prove that what you're doing is actually beneficial, and then partnering. I believe it's the American education panel. They did a survey and found that 50% of teachers feel that they do better when they partner. So if I'm an English teacher and I want to do some sort of programming for my kids to deal with math, but I don't have that education, partnering with maybe someone at the college level or a community leader will make sure that kids have what they need. So collaboration and proving what you do through data is going to help.
Perhaps even more valuable today, like you said, than ever before, looking at for that collaboration and those potential partnerships. I know one of the things that you served on the Griffith Chamber of Commerce as the representative for your school, Calumet Christian School. Um, what what do you think is the role of educators who are on those types of advisory boards? I mean, I think advisory boards, as you know, for nonprofit organizations are absolutely critical, but also for chambers of commerce and such. You know, what do you see as a role, whether someone's in K-12 or in higher education, when they're afforded that opportunity to serve on some of those advisory boards or those advisory councils? What kind of advice would you give to them in terms of that critical role that they play at that seat at the table?
Thank you. I think that, again, data and sharing that information with those constituents is going to be pertinent. So if there's a needs assessment that's been done at your school, maybe you don't have enough computers, or maybe there are kids who don't have money for textbooks, then maybe there are people at the table who can share resources or donate to your organization. So making sure they know that there's a need, identifying who can help, and allowing them the opportunity to do so.
Excellent, excellent. I think another case in point, your experience with, I think you worked on a strategic partnership with IU Northwest, Hammond Development Corporation, and U.S. Steel. Talk a little bit about that experience and maybe some of the takeaway there that you had, particularly when you're looking at, partnerships with larger entities out there where maybe some individuals might feel a little intimidated, but it still gives tremendous opportunity because it yields, success on a much larger scale.
Absolutely. So through my consulting group, I actually teach fund development courses, so grant writing in for corporations, foundations, and government grants. Through the Hammond Development Corps, they invite me every year to teach a grant writing basics class. So there are individuals from the Chicagoland area who come out. Indiana University Northwest has been very I guess they provided me with a blessed opportunity. So I also teach a grant writing course there as well. Dr. Jana Sisostik is the collaborative partner. And the United States Steel Corporation, they have an opportunity, if you are a community leader, to provide professional development for their mill workers. I teach a class called Start and Sustain your nonprofit. So a couple of the individuals who have taken the class have actually launched a nonprofit organization. And these collaborations just give me the opportunity to share my skill set so that people can take their purpose and make it possible.
Another area that you have a tremendous background in is in technology, and one of the things that you write about and talk about is your research and how that's helped to contribute to our insight relative to technology and how that can particularly empower underserved populations, particularly children with unique needs, and help to foster greater understanding. Talk a little bit about that, and in particular those that are on both ends, both those that of this situation, those that have children that would have unique needs, but also those in the tech industry who want to better serve the community and what they can do to make those connections.
Okay. I do a lot of reading, but the Pew Research Institute, I believe, mentioned that families who make $30,000 or less annually do not have access to a smartphone. I also saw a study where it said about 17 million families don't have technology in their home at all. So as you mentioned, companies like Hewlett Packard, Dell that have corporate foundations, just opening up more opportunities for schools to apply for funding so that kids maybe can have access to um, technology in their home. There are a lot of competitions. My son actually is participating in a competition where people with special needs can show where they've developed different technologies and apply for funding. So organizations that provide pitch competitions for people who are disabled. And then those corporations who have money that can maybe broaden the geographic regions that they serve so that schools and kids can have what they need in the home as it relates to technology.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, you're right with respect to some of these areas, that you're talking about illustrate sort of what's sometimes referred to as the digital divide, and that's one of
Mhm.
those things. I know one of the bits of research that you did was something entitled "Strategic Planning During a COVID Crisis," and the COVID-19 pandemic really did shed light on different different situations such as the digital divide. It's some people, I think their takeaway was, well, this was something that came about as a result, and as you know, it didn't come about as a result. It was there already. What happened is during the COVID-19, because things were of even greater importance in terms of access to the technology, access to high-speed broadband internet, it became more apparent. It shed light on that. What are some other takeaways, if you will, from that we should take from our experiences in the COVID-19 pandemic? I know your focus was on strategic planning during a COVID-19 crisis, but as we look at strategic, planning post-pandemic, what are some of the lessons learned and the takeaways from that could help inform and guide us in that process?
I believe we found as a result of that situation, kids were falling so far behind because, as you know, you couldn't go into the classroom, so all of your academics were done via iPhone or smartphone or computer, whatever your digital device is. And for those kids who didn't have that access, what are they to do if their families are at work or if their mom doesn't understand what's necessary? So I believe that educators now should begin the planning in case something like that happens again, making sure that families who don't have access, um, perhaps there is grant money or people who can donate to make sure that families have that access in the event that that happens again. So the planning should start right now.
Excellent, excellent. And then I know a couple of other areas where you have credentials. One of those is in social media marketing, and the other one is in big data and analysis or analytics. Um, Talk a little bit about, first of all, about social media and the role that it plays in what you do, whether it's in working with nonprofits or working in those partnerships or in strategic planning. Social media is a major player, a major variable that's part of those equations relative to planning. But talk a little bit about that and how, in your opinion, we can approach it in the most efficient and effective manner.
Absolutely. I believe that social media is like the gateway to the world because you can connect with people all around the world through social media. I incorporated an organization called Cyber Bros Against Cyberbullying. So it helps kids who are always online to know when they may be in danger and to make the necessary calls if something happens. So we ran a campaign not too long ago. It reached about, I would say, about 4,000 individuals. Donations came in. And I believe that social media using certain hashtags, taking advantage of the advertising opportunities, making sure you have someone dedicated to posting daily, creating a calendar, and just making sure that you're strategic, it can open up so many different doors and opportunities for you.
Great, great. And your organization, Cyber Bros Against Cyberbullying, talk a little bit about some of your accomplishments relative to that organization, and how it aligns with your mission and the goals and objectives that you had established.
Sure. So I have two sons. My oldest one was born with bilateral hearing loss. My youngest one actually started the organization Cyber Bros Against Cyberbullying. So it came as a result of him being bullied in school and a couple of horrific ordeals occurring. He published a book which is currently on Amazon. It consists of prayers and activities that kids who unfortunately succumbed to that particular behavior can adhere to. We've partnered with a couple of individuals. One is an author. I cannot think of her name right now, but she spoke for us and donated a couple of books. So we've been able to reach out to celebrities and athletes as a result of creating that platform, which is currently on Instagram.
That's great. That's great. Really pleased to hear that. Yeah, it's some of, as we know, some of what we're experiencing, we are in all but uncharted territory, and our response to that, we're starting to accumulate more information on some of the more effective ways in which to confront things such as cyberbullying. So it's great to know that your organization is out there and that there's actually publications out there that can help individuals that encounter that. Oh, that's outstanding. Um, another credential that you have is with big data and big data analytics. So if you could, for our listeners, you could kind of give us a working definition of big data and some of the analytics that you think that particularly our listeners might be interested in.
All right, so Stanford University actually has a program where they teach individuals about data analytics. And if you're a professor, I would highly encourage you to follow that organization online. Coursera, in addition, has a lot of opportunities to learn about big data analytics. As a result, to our listeners, I think that as it relates to nonprofit organizations, anything that you can find dealing with quantitative and quantitative analysis would assist you. But primarily, I would look at Stanford and their research studies. They have a lot of information that I think would be relevant.
Yeah, you're spot on with that one. That's a site, a platform that I'm familiar with, and there is just an abundance of information there for individuals in looking at that and recognizing the value added of of using big data analytics to guide your decision making process along the way. So no, that's great. Um, Again, one of the areas of focus of our organization at Astra is on that transition of students from high school to college. And I know when you were at DeVry, you served as a professor and a chair, faculty chair, and there were a number of different duties and responsibilities you had. One of those was in leading the Student Academic Center and coordination of academic support. So if you could kind of just sort of writ large, Dr. Harvey, talk a little bit about what you think are some effective ways in which we can help our students to transition from high school to secondary or college and university level. Yeah.
Okay. Being the parent of a child with a disability, I'm gonna speak from that I
Sure.
guess that genre. I think that letting kids know that once they go into the college setting that your parents can't speak for you, that once there's an issue or if you have questions about book rental whatsoever, that call is going to go straight to your child. So just preparing your child, if they are hard of hearing or any other disability, letting them or preparing them for that charge to let them know they have to have the skill set to be able to speak up and speak for themselves, and also encouraging them to take advantage. So if there is a skill set that they lack, maybe they don't do so well in math or English, but they still got into the school of their choice, making sure they take advantage of those academic centers because there are people there who are dedicated and they want to make sure that they succeed. So making sure your child feels comfortable going to get the necessary assistance that they need when you're not there.
Good. Excellent. This is the point now in our program where I turn the floor over to our guests. So if there's anything, Dr. Harvey, that you wanted to share with our listeners that we didn't have an opportunity to talk about, please do so at this time.
Absolutely. If there is anyone listening who is seeking funding, you can always reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. My username is Harvey NPO. And don't give up. I know that there are a lot of funding opportunities that are being taken away, but you should still adhere to your mission because there is someone out there willing to fund what it is that you set forth to do.
Excellent, excellent. Very inspiring words. I appreciate that. And thank you again, Dr. Harvey, for being our guest. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. So until next time, this is Dean Cantu for Future Insight. Take care. Bye.